So we have an opportunity here to do a little bit of learning, of education about how our electoral system works and some of the nuances and particulars that some of us may not be familiar with. The story about Mike Pence's possible role in the 2020 election is again just front and center as Donald Trump's new spokeswoman, Liz Harrington, posted to Twitter a statement from Trump going after Mike Pence, saying Pence could have turned over the election if he wanted and essentially given it to Trump. The statement put out yesterday from Trump reads, "If the Vice President Mike Pence had, quote, absolutely no right to change the presidential election results in the Senate, despite fraud and many other irregularities, how come the Democrats and rhino Republicans like wacky Susan Collins are desperately trying to pass legislation that will not allow the vice president to change the results of the election?" Actually, what they are saying is that Mike Pence did have the right to change the outcome, and they now want to take that right away. Unfortunately, he didn't exercise that power. He could have overturned the election. Now, it's not true that the laws that are being proposed about the vice president's role are because the vice president could overturn the election. It's almost like there's so many ignorant people that falsely think the vice president can just decide who wins, that they're looking at putting something more basic in writing to that end. But we actually have an infrastructure of law already that makes it very clear that the vice president's role with the Electoral College is just opening the envelopes, literally and figuratively, and we're going to get to that. But think about what they're saying. I mean, if what Trump is saying is correct, it means Kamala Harris could choose the winner of the 2024 election. If she doesn't like who the person that supposedly won, Kamala could say, nope, somebody else won. And of course, that's not the case. The truth is that the vice president does not have the power to do any of the things that Donald Trump has hoped that Pence would have done, including, seating an alternate slate of electors from certain states or any such thing. The 12th Amendment governs this really, really clearly. And you can just Google 12th Amendment and read the entire thing. It's not very long, but the important relevant points here are that the 12th Amendment says the electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president. They shall name in their ballots the person voted for as president. Okay, fair. The president of the Senate, meaning the vice president, remember, the VP of the U.S. is the president of the Senate. The president of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and House, meaning a joint session, open all the certificates, and the votes shall then be counted. That says nothing about evaluate whether this is the correct slate of electors. It's the VP shall open the certificates and the votes shall then be counted. Doesn't even say the vice president will be doing the counting. The votes shall be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be the president. That's it. You then have, in addition to the 12th Amendment, the Electoral Count Act of 1887. Now, why in 1887? Well, in 1876, there was a disputed election. And in the roughly 9, 10, 11 years that followed, the Electoral Count Act of 1887 was put together. It also is very clear. It, number one, puts the onus of resolving disputes to the states. If there are disputes, the state resolves the disputes, not the federal government or the Congress. So, for example, if a governor from Arizona certified two different slates of electors, right? They sign off on some Democratic electors and then a slate of Republican electors. That would be a real problem. If a state just doesn't certify any electors, that would be a problem that would come to Congress. But 90% of that is states handle these issues. Now, if you have one of these extenuating circumstances where the federal government gets involved, there's a few things Congress can do. If there's a ministerial error, if there's an elector sent who's not eligible to be an elector for some reason, if there's a candidate certified who isn't eligible to be president, those would be reasons why Congress can get involved. It's very clearly very limited. And to deviate from that requires powers that the vice president doesn't have. It depends on the House and Senate. And that's where all of this stuff comes from. A member of the House would stand and object, and then they need a member of the Senate to stand and object with them, et cetera. So the story that they're telling is it's not only a dangerous story, it's also an untrue story. And what we're up against is that in March, Trump and Pence are both speaking back-to-back nights at a Republican committee event in New Orleans, Louisiana. And it'll be very interesting to see if there Trump also slams Pence, and what the crowd reaction would be is something I would want to see as well. I am someone who loves documentaries. I would imagine many of you love them as well. You've got to check out our sponsor, CuriosityStream. It's the only streaming platform dedicated to documentaries. I'm always noticing CuriosityStream has the best selection of documentaries, better than Netflix or any other platform. And the best part is it's only $15 a year when you click the link below and use the code PACMAN, which is an amazing deal. It's nearly endless documentary content. And whether you want to tune out and watch something relaxing, dive into something really thought-provoking, CuriosityStream has both and everything in between. I just got done watching Pompeii, which is unbelievable. I visited Pompeii when I was in Italy, and the documentary filled in so much fascinating history about it and the people who lived there. CuriosityStream is giving my audience 25% off a subscription. That comes out to $14.99 a year. Go to curiositystream.com/Pacman and use the code Pacman. The link is down below.